Here are 10 tips and tricks for Siege's new season, Operation Twin Shells. First up, we have a few tips pertaining to Operation Twin Shell's new operator, Skopos. Skopos has the ability to swap between two different robots, called her shells. There is no cooldown to this, and swapping takes merely a few seconds, and so the first tip for her is to use one shell to bait attackers into position, and then swap to the other shell to catch them off guard. As an example here, you can see Ash rushes for the kill on my robot after taking a lot of its health, which she eventually does get, but is then thwarted by the other robot which was waiting on main stairs for her to exit out of dirt. The next tip for Skopos is to pair them with Smoke and Fenrir, since they are the only character other than Smoke and Fenrir themselves who are immune to their gas. Therefore, Skopos can play around Smoke's and Fenrir's gas without fear of being affected themselves. On the other side of the coin, you're not going to want to be pairing Skopos up with certain characters such as Doc and Thunderbird, since the shells cannot receive the heals from these characters. However, the worst affected defender is actually Rook, since neither shell can pick up an armor plate either, meaning that bringing Rook will always result in one piece of armor being left over that absolutely no one on the defending team can pick up. And one more Skopos related tip is actually for when you're facing her as an attacker. Since you have to kill the active shell to eliminate Skopos, finding her idle shell and placing a claymore on it is an effective way of killing her the second that she decides to swap between her shells. So if you know where she's placed her idle shell, go and leave a claymore surprise for her. Nokk's ability now takes a whole 2 minutes to fully recharge. Her gadget's duration now only depletes if you are performing certain actions, and so by extension, if you know that you're going to be performing those actions, then it's best to deactivate her gadget first so that you don't end up fully depleting it and having to wait a whole 2 minutes for it to fully recharge. The short delay between triggering and detonating a claymore has been removed this season, meaning that they detonate the instant that someone steps in the lasers, and so the tip for claymores is to start using them on drone hulls more often this season, since they'll be far more effective now that it's harder to trigger them and avoid the detonation in time. Solis has a new mechanic called overclocking, which amongst other things resets the duration of her scan back to full. This means that if you use the overclock right as the duration of her scan is about to run out, you can essentially double the time that you get to use her scan for, since upon activation of the overclock, her ability's duration resets back to full. Siege introduced a new toggleable accessibility setting this season called Motion Blur. While there isn't traditional motion blur in the vast majority of Siege's gameplay, it is used in select places, such as when Oryx is dashing through a wall, when your character is being shot at, or when you're using the new drone boost feature. You may want to try switching this setting off, as it can make these aspects of gameplay far smoother and much easier to see. As we just briefly mentioned, drones are getting the ability to boost this season, and this ability also comes to the special drones, such as Echo's Yokai, Brava's Cludge drone, and Twitch's shock drone. These boosts are, however, finite, and so my tip is to save the boosts on these drones in particular for immediately after you have used these drones' abilities, such as concussing someone with Echo or hacking something with Brava, since this is when these drones are at their most visible and by extension their most vulnerable, and so saving the boost for then can help you evade the bullets that will be coming your way. The Sentry, Proxmine, and C4 strat that we discussed at the start of last season's tip video has been nerfed with Operation Twin Shells, with the removal of the points that indicated when your proxim had been triggered. For this reason, the strat may now be more effective with a bulletproof cam as opposed to the proxim, since you can still play anywhere across the map and get the instant info on when someone is on top of your C4. And the final tip of this video is to make use of the new training options coming this season. Firstly, the shooting range target drill now has a cover mechanic, and the shooting range as a whole can now be accessed during matchmaking. Secondly, new maps have been added to the map training mode, so if you're still rusty on some of the layouts, then now you can get some more practice in. And finally, defense has been added to the versus AI game mode. Formerly, you could only play as attackers against defender bots, but now you can do the other way around, and even play the new op when doing so. As always, if you enjoyed this video, then please do remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It is greatly appreciated. I will catch you all in the next one.